Okay, well, let's start with Saturday. How pleased or otherwise were you with what you saw? Another win, but what did you think after you've analysed it?
I thought we was really good first half. I thought we got control of the game. We dominated the game, and we got ourselves in so many potential areas of making something happen. And the final pass, the final shot, the conviction in the final cross that didn't beat the first man or something was just the bit that let us down. And it was one of them where, although we felt between the boxes we'd been very, very good, we also felt that their goalie had only really been forced into one good save, and the rest of it we'd sort of hadn't made it happen enough. So again, we sort of sat down with the players and said that piece and said, you haven't worked the goalie enough. You've got to make things happen a little bit more. And then second half we got the early goal. And probably then we had a 20-minute spell where they started to open up, and we probably had enough chances then to put the game to bed, and didn't. And then, as you know, with sort of 15 minutes to go and the opposition or the home team, it can become a little bit nervy.
That's 4 clean sheets now, though, in a row now. Again, we've mentioned this before with different back fours. What is the recipe at the moment to those players? They really are clicking, aren't they?
I think all of them are, and again, Alex and Connell have done great, but Ben Turner and Connell were in a back four that kept 3 or 4 on the trot back in December or end of November, start of December. Dion's played in it, Brins has played. It's been a mixture now. Calvin's come in, Luke Pillins kept clean sheets, and I do think it is a team effort. I believe whatever centre back, full back, goalkeeper we put in the team, that we've got enough to keep clean sheets, because what goes on ahead of it, the work ethic ahead of it, always gives them a chance to be solid.
Is your defence better, do you think, this season than last now?
I think we've. I don't know if it's so much better. I think we were strong last year. I think we're strong this season. I think that when you cut out at this level, if you just cut out some basic stuff, last season we got caught on the break a lot, where we were a little bit too open. Both fullbacks were playing like wingers at the same time, and as soon as we gave the ball away in midfield, we were easy to attack, and we would concede set pieces, too regularly. And at the start of this season, we did the same, conceded too many set pieces. And all of a sudden, if you just cut out some of the silly bits there, being too open on counter attack and the set pieces, there isn't many teams that have carved us open. I think Solihull probably had the best move against us that we've had. They played a little bit of interchange in the first half the other day and got in, and that's probably the only time I've seen any team pass through us in general play. So, long may it continue.
You probably, and by your own admittance, you've said this, you're probably not playing your best football at the moment. The other week, I think you said you watched a game back, forget which it was, but
Torquay.
you won 1-0 and you weren't, that's the one, you weren't that happy. Does that bother you that you're not playing that well, but you are still winning? Does that concern you that the performances aren't quite the standard you want?
It's not so much the performances. I think we've come back from a long break without games. I think it's not so much the performances. I think between the boxes, we're doing a lot of things right. We really are. And certainly in our box defensively, we're doing a lot of things right, as the scoreline suggests. I just think the bit that, if we're overcritical, will be that final piece, which is always the hardest part to achieve in football. That final piece, whether we play a front two or a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, it's just that conviction, that final pass, the composure at the right time, and that will come from confidence. We know we've got goals in us. We're getting ourselves in so many good situations, and that's not because we're a defensive team or because we don't attack teams enough. We get in great situations, and if you go back through the last 4 or 5 games, we probably could have scored 10, 12, 14 goals. But that's football. That's what it's all about. And at the moment, that's probably the final piece of the jigsaw, is to score more goals more consistently and regularly.
I'm just intrigued which position you would rather be in. Would you rather be in this position or be a team that's winning 4-3 and you'll be worried about your back end but happy with your strikers? Is this a preferable one?
It's a good question, because I enjoy scoring goals a lot, so I have a smile on my face. I think if you go with the fans, they'll want the 4-3. Greg will want the 1-0, and I'm somewhere in the middle. I want 3-0.
Guess you can't have it all your own way. Bromley now on Tuesday. What are their biggest threats that will be for you on Tuesday night?
Well, I watched them. Like I say, I've watched a lot of teams in this league, and I watched them back before all this disruption we've had over the Christmas period. And I sort of said, blimey, they're strong. I thought I watched them play Stockport, they were excellent. I think they've lost a couple of players to injuries lately. I've looked, Chris Bush, Liam Trotter hasn't been in the last couple of games. Whether they'll be fit for us, I don't know. And they look like they've got a little bit of a mix and match where they've had a few injuries, but they got a good result at Aldershot. Very big team, very powerful team. And Neal has them working incredibly hard. I remember last season that they were at the top for a long period and they just started to falter towards the end. And I remember the game we had here at home against them, which we was backs against the wall, really having to graft to get anything from the game. So, as always, don't expect anything other than a tough game. They'll ask questions, they'll turn it in behind us, they'll work incredibly hard. They won't give us a minute to settle, and we're going to have to earn it.
Thank you. Not from me. Thank you.
Lee there.
Yeah, I'm here, mate. Yeah. Neal, just on the performance at the weekend, just how pleasing was it to come away with that victory and a clean sheet?
Of course, if you'd have offered me on that 9-hour return journey that we would go down there and come away with a sort of classic 1-0 away win and the 3 points, I'd have snapped your hand off. Wouldn't have expected anything more or less. Weymouth had won their last 2 games, beaten Hartlepool the week before. Their confidence was up, and they were the home team. And like I say, any 3 points is a great 3 points. You take them.
Do you sense there is I know the belief has probably never been in question, but do you sense the players now starting to feel that momentum building again?
Yeah, I do. I mean, obviously you can say it and then get a kick in the proverbials, but I do believe that they were that desperate and frustrated at not playing and that desperate to get playing again. Now the games have come and we've managed to get, obviously we had the scare last week with Solihull, but we managed to reverse the game and get game. That's what the lads were desperate for. And it does feel now like they're in that place where after a game they're out on their feet, but all they're thinking about is trying to get their bodies ready for the next one. And it's a nice feeling, and it's a feeling that they seem to be looking forward to.
In terms of injuries, will Richard Brindley be available to you tomorrow night?
He's joined in training today. So again, as always, we have a staff meeting at sort of after 2 o'clock after this press conference, and we sit down, we discuss all the players, and we'll formulate the team and the squad for tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you just yet.
And I'm sure you're tired of hearing this question as I am as asking it. How's Callum Roberts?
So far, we're just getting little bits of positive news. So every day that goes by and he's not getting set back by anything is good, and he's gone back and he's working really, really hard on his core, like the surgeon told him to. And as with Cal, it's just trying to get in Cal's head and convince him that all that work in the gym is going to pay dividends. And we hope we don't get any setbacks. We hope there's nothing else in there that hasn't been seen, and it is a case of getting the strength back in it. And if it is, then it will be hopefully a steady progression in the right direction. So he's got a smile on his face at the moment, which is a good start.
Any other injury problems from the weekend?
No, I mean Connell. To be fair, Connell's been in the wars with. He had his knee 2 weeks ago. He got a whack on the ankle on Tuesday and had cuts all around his ankle. And then I think his left glute was stiff the last 10 minutes of the game on. So he's slowly going through his whole body, but he keeps taping himself up and getting out there. But like I say, he's the only one that there might be a question mark. He might have to have a bit of a fitness test tomorrow morning, or maybe tomorrow evening before the game. But other than that, we most of the boys seem to be okay.
Brilliant, lovely stuff.
Well, hi Neil. I like Sam. Did he mean it?
Do you know, at the time, I thought he didn't, but I told the press he did because I thought I'd stick up for him. Having watched it back, I'm not so sure, because he did have enough time and he did look up. So, having seen his left foot, I would guess he didn't in training. But having seen, it was funny because at half time we'd got in so many great crossing positions during the game, and we kept hitting the first man. And the players, it's not a technical thing, it was the players were going for the whipped in near post one. And when you get to the byline, you're better off with a lift or a cutback, because you take them out of the game. So I said that to him at half time. If you get to the byline, lift it or cut it back. And, I'm going to take all the credit for that because he lifted it straight into the top corner.
Great stuff. It doesn't matter how they go in as long as they do.
Yeah.
And of course the win keeps the momentum and builds upon that run that you guys are going on. Just how important it is keeping that momentum going, especially with the fixtures coming as thick and fast as they are.
Yeah, I think keeping the games coming at the moment's the main priority, the bonus, and the lads are just desperate to play. So there's no moaning the tiredness. The boys just want to get out on that pitch. You know, and again, there's two things that are really important in any season. One is, you know, almost being hard on the boys when you're winning and keeping them at it and not letting them come off it and think that they're a good team. And on the flip side, it's how you go maybe softer on them when you lose a game and lift their confidence and get them to bounce straight back so you don't go on a poor run. And we know that we're going to face both of them over the course of the coming games. We're going to lose games and win games, so it's just a case of making sure we get both right so that we can keep chipping away at the points total.
And I just want to pick up on something that Chris mentioned. It was said that, of course, the results have come in despite some of the aspects of the performance not always being there, and that's sometimes attributed with the qualities of a good team. Is that something that you buy into and believe? Or?
Yeah, I do. To be fair, Doyley says quite often. Doyley's had 4 promotions as a player, so he's very knowledgeable in that respect. And Doyley often says, you know, team that wins the league isn't the team that play the best all the time, because you never can. You get them games, but it's the team who find a way of winning a game even when they're not at their best. And you know, he's spot on really. There's times where the passing game might not be great. I remember Woking earlier in the season where they stifled us and we couldn't get going and we were tired from the midweek game, and we just said, okay, let's play a different game and see if we can grind a 1-0 out, and we did. And I would never say it was our best performance, but it might have been one of our best results.
Great stuff, and of course, as we mentioned, it's Bromley. They've had a bit of an inconsistent start to the campaign so far. Yeah,
again, you say that, but then they're not a million miles behind us, and they're a couple of wins from being in the playoffs. So they were up there, then they dropped back out, and maybe the sort of COVID and the games getting called off has affected them as well. But like I say, there's a lot of players that were playing earlier in the season that seem to have missed out on the last couple of weeks, and whether that's affected them or not. But they're a strong team. Neal's teams are always at it. Last season they gave us 2 incredibly tough games, so I don't expect anything different.
We mentioned kind of what Bromley's strengths were and what to expect. What do you think you'll need to be on top of to get results from the game?
Well, we'll have to have an energy and a tempo and a quality about the way we play, which is natural. But they're a big team. They're a very big team. They've got a lot of players who, from set pieces, if Bush plays, he's got to remember he scored from a throw-in against us last season. He throws that long. So you've got all of them problems that they're going to cause you, depending on what players are fit and what players aren't. So, as always, defend your set pieces properly is a good start point. You know, work as hard as, if not harder than the opposition, and then hopefully your quality can come through.